Thank you for flying Improbable Flying Metal Tube Airlines. I'm sorry to inform you that your flight has been delayed. No, of course I don't need to check. Airports exist in some weird parallel world where a stranger fondling your privates is a normal thing to exchange for a chance to hurtle through the sky in a weirdly shaped metal bullet. Which kind of makes airports sound like magical parades of whimsy, which it probably is for all the airport staff that are constantly on drugs.
Right on! Fly away, little buddy!
Ironically, airport staff are rarely checked thoroughly by the TSA, so it's easy to smuggle in enough drugs to open a mini pharmacy behind an airport Five Guys. Meth, coke, weed, I've seen people do it all, and more often than not, it led to serious delays. Once, a guy I knew got super stoned before he was supposed to drive a tug. Tugs are those white cars you see on airstrips, which look like if a golf cart did it with a tank.
Where's, the door?
Normally, he drove one without a roof, but that day his tug had a roof for some reason. That, plus the drugs, made him less than an excellent driver. So he smashed his roof directly into an airplane wing.
Unfortunate.
The result was damage to the wing and fuselage, and a whole bunch of very pissed off passengers in the terminal who watched as their flights delayed or canceled entirely. I don't know if this was drug-related, but another time, one of the ground crew fell asleep in a cargo hold and didn't wake up until mid-flight. He had to get the crew's attention and get them to turn the whole damn plane around, just for him. The guy was, of course, fired for it. He probably should have just rolled the dice and started a new life in wherever the plane was heading to. Ugh, Ohio? Never mind. One guy apparently felt similarly about wherever he was going after waking up in the cargo hold of an airplane about to take off, because he then, according to legend, opened a door and somehow jumped out of the moving plane onto the jetway. I don't know how badly he was hurt, but hey, probably wasn't as bad as your luggage. Get that feeling that airports intentionally treat your luggage the same way you would an old toaster that just said your mother is a mediocre lover? Well then, you'll be happy to learn that you were totally right about that. The luggage. I don't know your mom. Roughly handling your luggage is what makes the plane run on time. It's just math. Carefully placing your bag into place takes 20 seconds longer than hucking it from across the room. Multiply that by 150 or so, and then again by all the various stages of processing, and it starts to add up. Delays cost way more than replacing the bottle of wine you had in your luggage wrapped in your favorite t-shirt. And then, of course, when the plane lands, the whole thing is reversed. But don't feel too bad about your bags, because all this stuff doesn't compare to the shit you go through while on a plane. Have you ever returned from a trip with a cold or some kind of stomach bug? Well, that's not just bad luck.
Hey, it's me, Larry. I also clean airplanes, or at least I'm supposed to. This isn't my work suit, by the way. I just refuse to enter an airplane without a hazmat suit on after seeing firsthand how filthy they get. See, how clean airplanes get depends entirely on who our lead is that day. Some might tell us to skip tray tables to save time, and even though we're required to check under every seat, that only happens if our boss is actively on the plane monitoring us, which is rare. Fortunately, if you ever get hungry on a plane, there's almost certainly some yummy food underneath your seat. The toilets are probably the worst, especially seeing as our guy usually just goes in there and plays with his phone instead of actually cleaning. Sometimes, I'll clean after him, but other times, there's no time. So the toilet gets just a half-ass cleaning after being full-ass blasted by God knows how many asses. Under a blacklight, most airplane toilets are wider than Starbucks during pumpkin spice season. There is some good news, though, if you happen to hate rich people.
Rich people? Where?
I don't know where they are. The BMW store? Not here. First class is supposed to receive fresh pillowcases, but we often skip that step, meaning those pillows they're paying for are used. If any of you fancy rich travelers ever walked off a flight with a case of head lice or herpes, at least you can rest easy knowing it wasn't because of all those brothels you visited. And don't worry. First class probably isn't filthy enough to kill you. No, death is largely reserved for the staff.
Flying is still the safest, most reliable form of travel. For the passengers. For the crew on the ground, not so much. Oh, I died during that previous segment. It happens more than you might think. The biggest danger is being sucked into an engine, which looks like somebody making homemade salsa but forgetting to put the lid on the blender. But the real tarmac killers are those dang tugs. These vehicles are overbuilt with thick steel body panels that can make some models weigh over 4 tons. I once heard about a guy who parked his tug next to a plane, forgot the e-brake, and left his tug on a very slight incline. It began drifting towards the plane, and the guy frantically reached inside the tug, thinking that aircraft damage was the worst possible outcome. The tug slightly pulled him forward and caught him between the car and the craft. On the positive side, he and I can hang out now. Yes, it can be very gruesome, but blood sacrifices to the elder gods are unfortunately still the only way to get airplanes to work. How else do you explain giant pieces of metal flying?
Flight 666 now boarding.
Oh, that's me. Gotta go now. Have a safe journey.